Alright, in this tutorial we're going to draw the 6-drawer chest. So I'm going to start off with the preparation of the file. So first thing we want to do is go under settings. We want to set our units to inches with a display precision that is 2 decimals out. And we want to have a grid that is a grid line of total grid line count of 50. We want to have a minor grid line every 1 inch, a major grid line every 10 minor grid lines with a snap spacing of 0.5. So we'll go here to Rhino and go to File and Settings. And we're going to start with our units. So we've got it set to inches, and our display precision down here at the bottom is 2 decimals out. We go to our grid line count every 50, minor grid line every 1 inch, major grid line every 10 minor grid lines, and we've got a snap spacing of 0.5. Moving on to step 1. So this tells us a little bit about our axes. If you don't see your z-axis on, you can go to the right sidebar, click on the display icon and turn that on. So that's over here. And then just making sure your z-axis is clicked. Here's our first step. So we're going to set up our layers. We want to have, in the end here, 5 layers. One is going to remain named default. We're going to have one called base, one called drawer box, drawer front, and top. So go to my layers panel. We're going to call this first one base. This is drawer box, drawer front, and top. And in layer 5, I'm going to do a control click or a right click and then just say delete layer. Alright, so that looks good. Step 2, we want to make sure our grid snap, our ortho, our planar, our smart track, our gumball, and our history are all turned on. So those are all up here, they're all turned on. If you're on Windows, they're going to be down here at the bottom. Alright, next we're going to turn on our object snaps. We're going to have end, near, point, midpoint, and center all checked. Alright, here they are over here. End, point, end, near, point, midpoint, and center all checked. Again, on Windows, those are going to be at the bottom. All right, now we're going to make our base. So we're going to use the cube or the box tool. So we can either type box or find that tool over on the left-hand side. We're going to be in top view when we do this, and we want our box to go from 0, 0 to 50, 20, and the box itself is going to be 6 inches high. All right, so I'm going to grab my box over here. I am in top view, starting at 0, 0. That's my first point. And my second point is going to be 50, 20. And my height is going to be 6. Right? Now, because I'm in top view, I can't see that it's 3D, but when I go to perspective, this is what it should look like. All right, next step, we're going to create a vertical line. We're going to use the polyline. We're going to start the polyline at 3, -4. We're going to end it at 3, 3. I'm going to do this in front view. Polyline 3, -4, 3, 3, and then I hit enter, and that will end that tool. Now I want to mirror that point, so I have the exact same thing on the other side. To do that, I'm going to use the mirror tool. So that can be found a number of places. I can click on transform, and there's the mirror tool. I can also go up to the top here, transform, there's the mirror tool. I can also type mirror, there's my tool. I need to select my object, and I want to use the midpoint. So I'm going to roll, I hit enter, then I'm going to roll over until I find the midpoint, click one time, and then I need to click perpendicular to this line. So I can go up or down, doesn't matter, but just stay absolutely perpendicular. Click a second time, and there are my 2 lines. All right, now I need an arc connecting the 2. I'm going to use the arc that is start, end, and point. I want the arc to start at the end point of one of those 2 vertical lines and end at the end point of the other, and the curve is going to be at point 25, 1. So here's my, that's the fillet. Here's my arc tool. Arc, start, end, point on arc. So I'll click on this end point and over here on this end point, and then my point on my arc is going to be 25, 1, and there we go. Next up, we're going to use the Phillip tool and we're going to curve these sharp corners. We want our fillet to be at 1.5. We want to make sure trim and join are both checked, and we need to make sure extend arc by option is selected to line. All right, so here's my fillet. I've got trim and join checked. My radius is 1.5 and extend arcs by line. Now there's a mistake that I see people make on this one. So if I click on this line first and then this line, I end up with this extra line that I don't want. So I'm going to go back, hit the space bar and do this again. Start with the long arc and then click on the vertical line. Right? And you hit the space bar to do this again. Same thing. Start on the long arc and then click on the vertical line. And that'll give you the exact shape you want. All right. Next up, we're going to do a wire cut. So we're going to cut through our box. All right, so we're going to select our cutting curve. We're going to select the object cut, which is going to be the box. It appears we're going to do this in front view first. All right, and then when we're done, we're going to go to top view, and we are going to cut on the y-axis. We're going to make sure to delete input. Both sides and keep all are going to be unchecked. And we're going to click done. For part to cut away, invert and keep all will be unchecked. And then we'll go back to perspective view and see if it worked. All right, so let's try this. Wire cut, type it in, select the cutting curve. This is our cutting curve. Select the object to cut, cutting the box. Now we're going to go to top view. Oh, we're going to hit enter. We're in top view. So now this is on the wrong axis, so I'm going to change the direction to Y. So now you can see we're going. We don't want to do both sides because there's nothing to cut out here. And I think we want delete input turned off. Check delete input. Oh, do we want delete input? Okay. All right. So our depth point. Okay. All right. So I think we hit return. Oh, that worked. Great. And then invert and keep all remain unchecked. All right, and then we just hit enter one more time. And now let's go to perspective view and hit Command Shift E so it fits on the screen. And let's make this shaded. So let's go up here to view and change this to shaded. All right, that looks great so far. All right, now we're going to do the fillet, but we're going to do it from the sides. So we're going to go to right view. And we want to start with, we're going to repeat steps through 8 but with new coordinates. Now we want our polyline at 3, -4 and 3, 3. All right, so I'll grab my polyline and I'm going to go to 3, -4 and 3, 3. Oops, 3, 3. All right, hit return. All right, now we need to mirror and we need to create a new arc. So just like before, mirror tool, we're going to mirror this line. I'm going to hit enter. Start of the mirror plane is going to be the midpoint, and then I just have to go vertically or perpendicular, hit return. All right, now we're creating another arc across the center. This one is going to have a center point at 10, 1. So we go back to our arc tool. We're going to do arc start end point on arc. I click on this endpoint and this endpoint, and it is, again, it's 10, 1. So type in 10, 1, return. All right, and then we're going to do our fillet. Looks like nothing's going to change about the fillet, so we can just type in fillet, and we click on the arc, and we click on the vertical line, and hit spacebar, do it one more time, click on the arc, click on the vertical line, and there's our side piece. All right, now we're going to mirror we're going to do one more thing here. We're going to close the curve. So we go to curves, curve edit tools, close curve. All right, so curve, curve edit tools and close curve. All right, what's the curve we want to close? This one, hit return. Now we've got a closed curve. All right, so now we're going to use the make hole. Right, so it had to be a closed curve in order to use this make hole function. So now we're going to go to front view. We're going to mirror the closed curve that we made in step 11. All right, front view, and we're going to do a mirror. We'll select this object, hit return. We're going to find the midpoint here and mirror. Notice when I'm mirroring, I haven't mentioned this, but it's all, copy is checked. That's important. All right, so I'm going vertically and I click. Now I've got one of those curves on each side. If we look in perspective view, you can see there's one of those on each side now. Let's go back to front view here. All right, now we're going to use the command make hole. It says select planar closed curve, so that's going to be, we're going to do the curve we made in step 11. We want to do it in the X direction, and we want a depth point of 7, 0. All right, so let's try this. Make hole, select closed planar curve. Let's do this one, hit return, select a surface or poly surface, so that's going to be our base here. All right, so our direction is going to be X, all right, and our depth point is 7, 0. We want, I think we want delete input selected, yes, and both sides unchecked. All right, there we go. So hit return. Let's go to perspective view so we can see how that worked. All right, so the make hole just cut through just part way. We're going to go back to front view. Let's do that. Actually, we can do this in perspective view. Maybe it'll be easier to see. We're going to do the same thing, but this time our depth point is 43, 0. All right, so spacebar, make hole. Just because we've just done it, we can use the spacebar to get the whole tool back again. And click on our planar closed curve and hit return. We click, our surface is going to be this base. We're going in the X direction, and this time we're going to 43, 0, return. And so that hole just cuts out, doesn't cut all the way through, so it doesn't damage the, or affect the bottom, this curve here. All right, so this point our base is pretty much done.